And so the guy who cuts you off in traffic is less relevant when your hands are in ice.
This also makes me curious on the day to day, as far as like maybe simpler things that people could do to, I guess, train this. Like I mentioned, like I do like cold showers, I do like saunas, right? But is there anything that people can do outside of this that could be easy and that not even easy, just like something that they can do without having to get into a gym and get an ice bucket? Is there things that they could do that could yield this benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned a great one is cold showers. Again, you want to build up to, long cold showers. When I was training for the ice submersion record, and we can talk about that, but I use cold showers to kind of initiate that adaptation to cold exposure. It works. You expose yourself to cold water. You might start out with a warm shower, do your normal warm shower. Then let's say the last 30 seconds of your warm shower, turn it cold and go for 30 seconds. And then next go for about 45 seconds. Then over, the next week, go for a minute. And then maybe you build up to where you just start with that cold shower. But you'll notice that your response to the cold, that whether it's at the last 30 seconds or 45 seconds, and you do the whole thing, your response is what you have to look out for. Your heart rate, your breath. Right? It always comes down to the breath. So that first time, that last 30 seconds or even 15 seconds, you might just go, You see that breath? Oh my God, it's fun. Next time you do it, 30 seconds, you're just like, and then now you could do a whole shower where you're just like, and that's adaptation. I mean, your body has adapted. It's delayed the onset of fight or flight. And that's really what we're doing. We're delaying the onset of those negative physiological effects that will screw you in the times that would matters most, in a fight, in a competition, in life, in anything that you're doing. And that's all we're trying to do with the cold. It's just a tool.
You mentioned earlier about like stress and focus. And some of the stuff I've heard is that due to your interpretation of stress and maybe interpreting the stress as being harmful or just bad in a sense, that our focus gets to be pinpointed on like one particular thing. I mean, we see this sometimes when someone's frustrated with somebody and they're mentioning all these things to you and you're kind of thinking in your head, you're like, man, I wonder why they're so frustrated with this one particular person. But maybe they're so frustrated because they are focused on this singular thing and they can't really zoom out at all. Have you noticed with some of the training that you're doing that it's helped you in your personal life be able to maybe interpret some stresses that are coming your way in a little different manner? Or has it also maybe have been effective for some of the clients that you work with?
Power Project family, what if I told you that you could eat cereal that doesn't mess with your diet, that doesn't have massive amounts of sugar, that doesn't give you the bubble guts, and that's actually really good for you? Well, that's why we partnered with Magic Spoon. 0 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, 14 grams of protein, and 140 calories per serving, and it actually tastes like kid cereal. God dang it. Andrew, how can people get it?
Absolutely. You guys got to head over to magicspoon.com/powerproject, and that'll get you $5 off the variety pack. Links to them down in the description. Let's get back to this video.
Yes, absolutely. So, I found in my life, when I encounter a stressor, it's more helpful for me to focus, to not necessarily be a multitasker and focus on the task that's in front of me or the stressor that's in front of me. So when you're exposed to cold, when you're exposed to an external stressor like cold, it has a way of trimming the fat. So it has a way of eliminating what isn't useful to you in that moment. So when your hands were in the ice bucket, you were better able to focus on your breath than if your hands were not in that bucket. Why? Because your breath was the key to removing the stressor. You found that through a calmer breath, the pain, the perceived pain would be less, and you were able to. So it's true. So when you're faced with a stressor, you tend to zone in on only the critical elements. And so the guy who cuts you off in traffic is less relevant when your hands are in ice or when you're exposed to a stressor. So knowing the mechanism at work, that it is trimming the fat and getting rid of really what's not necessary, will help you kind of better handle stress management with other things that may be happening in your life. It trims the fat. It puts you in. And the same thing, I mean, we can talk about cold as a tool. Another thing in life that does this, and some people might be familiar, is when you're going through bouts of just sadness or, perceived depression even. It trims the fat. Your words when you talk to people are more succinct. You're not as long-winded. You only say the things that are just critical to get your point across, because you're battling, right? You're in a fight. In your mind, it's a stress. Your body doesn't know the difference. It trims the fat. It makes life more succinct, and you focus on the things that matter most. And it's good to have control over that. And this type of training will help you have control over that.
I'll say absolutely, like, for sure, when it comes to, like, I notice this most when I do jujitsu, because I mean, you're in a situation where you're grappling with somebody, but the level of calm I'm able to keep in all situations and rolling makes a massive difference in terms of like my gas tank. And even if I'm not in the greatest situation against somebody, I don't panic, because the breath controls it. It makes a fucking huge difference.
People like to sleep on the breath. They like to focus on the tangible, the things, the size of the muscle. They like to look at but the breath is the engine. Your lungs and your heart are the engine that controls all of that. And it doesn't get enough, I don't think it gets enough focus on.